Hey guys, it's Tasha. I'm back today sharing a process video where I make this card using the stamp called Serenade. This stamp is a red rubber cling mount stamp that I purchased from a company called Stamplistic while I was at the Scrap and Stamp Expo. So what I've decided to do with this image is heat emboss it. So I used my anti-static tool and pulled out a piece of Tim Holtz Distress watercolor paper, and I'm stamping on the smooth side. I'm using my stamp repositioner tool just to make sure that I get a full, complete stamped image. And I used my Versamark ink, and I'm now pouring my favorite white embossing powder over it. It's called Fine Detail White, and this is by Ranger. I think that embossing powder does the best job when you want to make sure that every single detail shows up. So I'm going to go ahead and heat this up using my Derice heat tool. And once this is heated, I'm going to go ahead and tape it down to my clipboard. Now the reason I'm taping it down is because I'm going to be doing some watercoloring, and the more water you add, the more chance your paper has of warping. And if you simply just tape down all sides of your paper, then your paper won't warp as bad. I'm also going to go ahead and do a clean wash of water to get everything wet so that when I start adding color, the color moves freely. I'm using my Tim Holtz Distress inks for this watercoloring, and the ink colors I chose were Candied Apple, Spiced Marmalade, Picked Raspberry, and Squeezed Lemonade. Now you can't see, but off to the right I have a flat white kind of plastic painter's palette that I'm using. So I just smushed my distressed inks onto that palette, and I'm picking up the color using this number 4 paintbrush. I don't know what company made my paintbrush, but I'm a really big fan of Art Impressions watercoloring, and so I went on their website one day and I just picked out a whole bunch of tools that Bonnie Krebs uses, and this paintbrush is the paintbrush that she uses, and I love it. I think it's the best one. Is it number 4 or number 6? It might be number 6. Don't let me lie to you guys. So what I'm doing now is I'm just painting in the little areas of the stamp. Now, I'm not going to lie, this is time consuming, but this is the kind of coloring that you can just put some music on and relax and just kind of let your thoughts kind of run freely. I really enjoyed this process a lot more than I thought. When I first picked up this stamp, I thought it was going to be kind of tedious, but I do relish in the details of things sometimes, and this stamp was definitely one of those. So as you can see, I went ahead and finished up, and the beautiful thing about these watercolored images is that once the ink dries, you can always go back and add a second layer of color. You can choose where you want the color to be a deeper, richer, more vibrant color, and then you can leave the lighter ones alone. Like, I felt my Spiced Marmalade, the orange, needed to be a little brighter, so I went back and I added a second layer. And I love that about watercoloring. You can always add more. So I'm going to finish this up, and then you won't believe it, but I end up fussy cutting this image out. The company, Stamplistic, they offer dies to go with their images, and their dies are actually special because their die sets contain the die to cut out each layer of this image. So if you wanted, you could do like a almost like a 3D effect by popping up each layer. I'll post some videos at the end, not videos, I'll post some photos that I took at their booth at the end of this video so you guys can get an idea. I've never heard of this company, and I am extremely excited about buying more stamps from them. I think that red rubber cling mount is my favorite type of stamp when it comes to large images like this. So I'm all finished coloring it up, so I peeled off my painter's tape, and as you can see, it's not warped at all. So I think that's a really great technique to minimize your warping. And here I am, fussy cutting away, using my favorite detail scissors, which are my Martha Stewart detail scissors. I've decided in order for this image to pop, to really pop, I wanted to put it on a white background. And I'm using 110-pound white cardstock from Paper Tray Ink. That's my favorite cardstock ever. I know a lot of people are really into Nina Solar White, but I'm an old school card maker, and I started out making cards using Paper Tray Ink inks and papers and stamps, and I'll never ever stray away from my Paper Tray Ink cardstock. So I've decided that I want this image to be popped up, so I'm going to cut out a circle of fun foam. I'm going to stick it to the back of this image and then put it on the front of my white panel. My white card panel is cut to 4 and 5 1/4, and I've decided that in order to make the white pop, I want to put it on a black actual card base. So my card base is going to be a top folding 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 A2 size card. Now, it took me a long time to get those measurements memorized, so now that I've got it all down pat, I will never forget the measurements of an A2 size card. At first, you think, how the heck am I going to do this? I'm horrible at math. But you know what? You get the hang of it. You do. You really do. So here I am, just gluing that down. I used my ATG gun. I don't know what in the world I would do without my ATG gun. And now I'm sitting here choosing what sentiment I want to use. I'm picked out a sentiment from, I forgot the name of the stamp set. I'm so sorry. I'll post it down below in the comments. Or in the description. It's a really cool sentiment stamp set by Honeybee Stamps. Honeybee Stamps is one of my new favorite companies. I've got several of their stamp sets, and I just really love the imagery and the quality of their stamps. I think their stamps are photopolymer. Once again, I'm using my favorite white embossing powder. It's the Fine Detail White by Ranger, and I'm going to heat emboss this sentiment. It says, "Thinking of You." And I just think that whatever sentiment I added to this card, it needed to pop. So I decided to do it on the black cardstock. And at first, I think I might do like a fishtail, kind of like a flag. But then I added it to the card and it just seemed so big and bulky. And I don't have the dies or anything that match the sentiment set. So I thought that it would be kind of cool to go ahead and trim out the sentiment in a way in which it wasn't so bulky, but it didn't look too, I guess, juvenile. So I did a little more fussy cutting than I anticipated, but I really, really like the end result. So I decided to also pop this up on some foam tape, and I'm going to put it right there in the center after fiddling with it for a little bit. In order to make this image really pop off the card, I decided that I needed to add some jewels. I have been loving the new jewel trend that's been going around. I know we keep going from enamel dots to sequins and now these tiny, tiny little jewels. Well, these jewels that I'm using today are, it's called the Cupcake Mix, and it's by Honeybee Stamps. And I purchased them directly from their website, and the colors of these jewels are just gorgeous, gorgeous. This set comes with multiple different colors. It's got purples and blues and pinks and yellows, and it's got all different sizes. So I used my jewel picker my brand new jewel picker and added those jewels. And I think that the card turned out fantastic. Here's another card that I made using the Peacock stamp from Stamplistic. And I really love these stamps, and I hope that you guys like them too and give them a try. Thanks for watching, and happy crafting!